Well, two Edmonton stars met up in Germany yesterday. The NHL announcing a new partnership between football club Bayern Munich and the Edmonton Oilers. So Oilers star Leon Draisaitl, who's from Germany, met up with Edmonton soccer product who plays for Bayern Munich, Alphonso Davies. This partnership is intended to grow Bayern's presence in Canada and expand the NHL's footprint in Germany. The NHL also says the Oilers will be going to Cologne, which is Draisaitl's hometown, during the 27-28 season, nearly 10 years after the team played an exhibition game there.
Well, I really get goosebumps just thinking about it. In 2017, I experienced that when we were playing against Cologne, and that was a really special experience. Those are the things that don't happen every year.
Something big is happening between the NHL and Germany, and Leon Draisaitl is right in the middle of it. The NHL has joined forces with one of Germany's biggest sports clubs, and this could change hockey's future in the country forever. Draisaitl says the move sends a huge message, but what happens next could be even bigger. Leon Draisaitl has just become part of one of the biggest moves the NHL has made to grow hockey in Germany. But there is an important detail that many people are missing. Draisaitl did not personally sign a partnership with Germany. The deal is between the National Hockey League and FC Bayern Munich, one of the biggest sports clubs in Germany. Draisaitl was there for the announcement, and his reaction made it clear how important this move is for him and for German hockey. The NHL and FC Bayern have started a new multi-year partnership. The goal is simple: bring more people in Germany closer to hockey while also helping FC Bayern grow its reach in North America. The two sides plan to work together on fan events, youth programs, community projects, and new content. This means hockey and football will now have a much closer connection in one of Europe's biggest sports markets. And this is where Draisaitl becomes a huge part of the story. The Edmonton Oilers star was born in Cologne, Germany, and he has become the biggest German-born player in NHL history. He was at FC Bayern's training ground in Munich for the partnership announcement alongside German NHL star JJ Peterka and Bayern player Alphonso Davies. Draisaitl said the partnership sends a huge message for Germany and the NHL. He also made it clear that he believes there is still a lot of room for hockey to grow in his home country. The NHL has announced that the Edmonton Oilers will play 2 regular season games in Cologne during the 2027-2028 season. That will be the first time Cologne hosts NHL regular season games. Draisaitl will finally have the chance to play an NHL game in front of his family, friends, and hometown fans. The Boston Bruins will also play 2 games in Munich, the hometown of JJ Peterka. Think about what that means. One of Germany's biggest football clubs is now working with the NHL. 2 of Germany's biggest hockey stars will bring NHL games to their hometowns, and the league is putting more money and attention into growing the sport. The partnership with FC Bayern could help create even more attention. Bayern already has millions of fans around the world, and its name is deeply connected to German sports. By working together, the NHL can reach people who may not normally follow hockey. That could mean more young fans watching games, more children trying hockey, and more interest in NHL stars from Germany. There is also a bigger picture here. Germany already has a strong hockey culture, but football is clearly the country's biggest sport. The NHL is not trying to replace football. Instead, it is using a major football club to help hockey reach a much larger audience. That is why the Bayern partnership matters. If even a small part of Bayern's huge fan base becomes interested in hockey, the impact could be massive. And Draisaitl has already shown what German hockey can produce. He became the first German-born player to win the Art Ross Trophy, and he has established himself as one of the NHL's top stars. Now, with another German star in JJ Peterka and more young players coming through, the NHL has a strong group of players who can help inspire the next generation. The 2027-2028 Germany games could become the biggest test of this new push. Edmonton will play in Cologne, while Boston will play in Munich. That means German fans will not just watch NHL hockey on television. They will get to see some of the league's biggest stars live in their own country. There is another reason this story could become even bigger. The NHL has continued to explore ways to bring major games to Europe, including the possibility of an outdoor game. Nothing has been confirmed for Germany yet, so fans should not treat that as a done deal. But the fact that the league is thinking about new ways to bring NHL hockey to Europe shows how important the market has become. For Draisaitl, though, the biggest moment may still be waiting for him in Cologne. Imagine stepping onto the ice in your hometown, wearing the Edmonton Oilers jersey with your family and childhood friends watching from the stands. That is the kind of moment that can become part of hockey history. And if the NHL and FC Bayern can turn this partnership into long-term growth, Draisaitl may not just be remembered as one of Germany's greatest hockey players. He could also become one of the faces of a new era for German hockey. The partnership has started. The Cologne games are coming. And now, everyone is waiting to see just how big this move can become. Toronto just made a move so risky that it could change the future of the whole franchise forever. After a shocking drama behind closed doors, management pulled off a secret deal nobody expected. Now fans are completely divided, and one question is hanging over everything. Did this bold gamble save the team or start a disaster they can never escape? The Toronto Maple Leafs are entering a completely new era. After a painful regular season that saw them miss the playoffs, the front office knew big changes had to happen. The entire fan base demanded answers, and management responded by tearing down old habits to rebuild from the ground up. New general manager John Chayka took charge and immediately set a bold tone for the summer. With a clock ticking on Austin Matthews' contract window, the front office could not afford to play it safe. The turning point came when Lady Luck smiled on Toronto during the draft lottery. Moving up to land, the #1 overall pick gave this team a golden ticket. Selecting phenom winger Gavin McKenna instantly changed the energy around the entire city. McKenna is not just another prospect. He is a dynamic playmaker who dominated college hockey at Penn State after breaking records in Major Junior. His elite vision and high-speed passing make him the perfect partner for elite goal scorers. Experts believe placing McKenna next to Austin Matthews will give Toronto one of the most dangerous top lines in hockey. However, drafting a miracle rookie was only the first piece of a much larger puzzle. The front office spent the rest of the offseason clearing out underperforming players to fix serious roster gaps. After losing key pieces like Mitch Marner in previous years, the lineup suffered from a complete lack of balance and scoring depth. To fix this, Chayka went aggressive in the market. The Leafs landed veteran goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky to give the team stability in net. They also brought in tough, reliable skaters like Darren Radish, Nick Paul, and Colton Sissons. These additions bring championship experience and defensive toughness to a locker room that desperately needed leadership. Gavin McKenna changes that dynamic completely. As an elite passer with incredible ice vision, McKenna forces opposing defensemen to make a hard choice. If they double-team Matthews, McKenna will thread a pass through traffic to an open teammate. If they drop back to cover passing lanes, McKenna has the quick hands and speed to drive straight to the net himself. This balance is exactly what Jim Hiller's new offensive system requires. Hiller built a reputation for designing lethal power plays, and adding McKenna to the top unit gives Toronto a dynamic quarterback on the half wall. Paired with Morgan Rielly at the point and William Nylander on the opposite flank, the Leafs finally have the elite passing weapons needed to punish teams that take penalties. While the offense looks explosive on paper, the real tests will happen on the defensive end. Sergei Bobrovsky gives Toronto an experienced big game goalie, but he cannot fix structural team flaws by himself. In recent years, the Leafs struggled with turnovers in their own zone and allowed too many high-danger shots. The additions of veteran defensemen like Darren Radish and hard-nosed forwards like Colton Sissons are meant to clean up those exact mistakes. Their job is simple: clear the net front area, win board battles, and transition the puck quickly up to the speed-driven top six. However, playing in Toronto comes with heavy pressure that can crush unprepared teams. An 18-year-old rookie, even a generational talent like McKenna, will face constant media coverage and massive fan expectations from night one. Furthermore, the front office has made it clear that missing the playoffs again is completely unacceptable. Management cleared out cap space and spent big assets this summer to win immediately, not 3 years down the road. If this new system clicks early, Toronto could rapidly shoot back up the standings and challenge the top teams in the Eastern Conference. But if chemistry takes too long to build, or if injuries strike the top line again, the front office will face intense criticism for blowing their salary cap flexibility. The foundation is set, the roster is rebuilt, and the stakes have never been higher. All eyes now turn to opening night to see if this high-risk strategy pays off or completely explodes. Nobody expected this move, and now the entire hockey world is asking the same question. John Chayka promised to build a stronger Maple Leafs team around Austin Matthews, but one decision has divided fans and analysts across the NHL. Did Toronto finally create a true Stanley Cup contender? Or did Chayka leave, one major problem unsolved? When John Chayka became the new general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, everyone knew change was coming. But very few people expected him to reshape the team so quickly. Instead of making one or two small moves, Chayka changed several important parts of the roster. He brought in new players, added more size and experience, and tried to build a team that could survive the long and difficult road to the Stanley Cup. His message was clear. Toronto has had one of the best goal scorers in the world in Austin Matthews, yet the team has continued to fall short in the playoffs. Every offseason, fans hope the front office will find the missing piece that can help Matthews lead the team to a championship. This summer, all eyes turned to John Chayka. Chayka did not sit back and wait. He made several important moves to give the team a different look. Toronto added veteran goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, giving the club an experienced goalie with a Stanley Cup winning background. The Leafs also added forward Jack Roslovic and traded for Nick Paul, bringing more depth and physical play to the lineup. Chayka later explained that his goal was to make the team deeper, faster, bigger, and heavier. It was a clear sign that Toronto wanted to change its identity instead of relying only on skill. At first, many fans praised these moves. The Maple Leafs looked tougher than before. The bottom six forwards appeared stronger, and the defense looked more balanced. Some hockey experts even said this was one of the biggest offseason makeovers in recent team history. But as the excitement settled down, another question quickly began to spread across the hockey world. Did John Chayka actually do enough to help Austin Matthews? That question has become one of the hottest topics surrounding the Maple Leafs. While many analysts agree the team improved its depth, others believe Toronto is still missing another elite offensive player who can take pressure off Matthews. Right now, Matthews remains the player every opponent focuses on. If teams can slow him down in the playoffs, who will consistently step up beside him? And that's exactly where Chayka's biggest decision is now being. The entire NHL is watching to see whether that choice will finally bring the Stanley Cup back to Toronto or become the decision everyone remembers for the wrong reason. John Chayka's biggest decision was not only about the players he added, it was also about the players he refused to give up. One name that stayed at the center of attention was Matthew Knies. During the offseason, reports said the New York Rangers showed serious interest in the young forward. Many fans wondered if Toronto would use Knies in a blockbuster trade to bring in another star. But Chayka chose a different direction. The Maple Leafs held on to Knies because they believe he is a major part of the team's future, alongside Austin Matthews. That decision surprised many people around the league. Instead of chasing one huge trade, Chayka showed confidence in the young talent already inside the organization. This move also tells us something about Chayka's long-term plan. Rather than sacrificing young players for a quick fix, he appears to be building a team that can compete for more than just one season. Knies has continued to develop into a powerful forward who can score, win puck battles, and play the physical style that becomes so important during the playoffs. If he takes another step forward this season, Toronto may not need to search outside the organization for more offense. But until that happens, the debate will continue. Another reason this discussion has become so popular is because everything still comes back to Austin Matthews. He remains the face of the franchise and one of the NHL's best goal scorers. Every team that dreams of winning the Stanley Cup needs its biggest stars to perform. But hockey is never a one-man game. Even the greatest players need strong teammates around them. That is why so many analysts are asking the same question. Has John Chayka built enough support around Matthews? Or is one important piece still missing? So far, the reactions have been mixed. Some fans believe the Maple Leafs are finally built for playoff hockey. They point to the added depth, stronger defense, experienced goaltending, and a roster that looks tougher than it did a year ago. Others are not fully convinced. They believe Toronto still lacks another elite top 6 scorer who can help Matthews when opponents focus all their attention on shutting him down. Until the season begins, no one can say for certain which side is right. One thing is clear though, John Chayka did exactly what every general manager hopes to do. He gave people something to talk about. His decisions have changed the conversation around the Maple Leafs. Now the pressure shifts from the front office to the players. If this new roster finally makes a deep playoff run, Chayka's bold strategy will be praised as a masterstroke. But if the same problems return when the games matter most, every offseason move will be questioned again. The answers are still months away. But one thing is certain, the entire hockey world will be watching every step the Maple Leafs take, because this season could define John Chayka's legacy in Toronto.
Something happened inside the Maple Leafs organization that most fans completely missed. It wasn't the first overall pick, it wasn't the trade rumors, and it wasn't free agency. It was a series of decisions that, when connected together, reveal a blueprint that could change this franchise for the next decade. Here's why I think Toronto will never be the same after this offseason. The biggest mistake people are making right now is assuming this offseason is about replacing one player or filling one position. It isn't. This is about changing the identity of the Toronto Maple Leafs. When organizations miss expectations, they usually look for quick fixes. They fire a coach, make a trade, or sign a free agent and hope things improve. That's not the impression I'm getting here. Everything that's happened since the front office changed points toward a much larger plan. It really started when Toronto won the draft lottery. That moment changed the entire direction of the franchise. Instead of entering another offseason wondering how to squeeze one more playoff run out of the current core, the Maple Leafs suddenly found themselves with something every organization dreams about: the opportunity to draft a potential franchise player first overall. They used that pick on Gavin McKenna, a player the organization believes can become one of the faces of the NHL for years to come. The selection wasn't viewed as just adding another talented prospect. Internally, the belief is that players like McKenna have the ability to reshape an entire franchise. Here's what caught my attention even before the draft. The messaging coming from the front office wasn't centered on immediate results. Instead, the focus was on long-term impact. John Chayka spoke about identifying the player who would become the best over the course of his career, not simply the player who could contribute the fastest. That's an important distinction because it tells me this management group is thinking several years ahead, not just about next season. From what I've been told, that's become the foundation for every decision they're making. Every trade discussion, every contract evaluation, every roster decision is being measured against one question: does this help build a sustainable contender, or is it simply solving today's problem? That's why I don't believe McKenna is expected to carry this franchise immediately. There will naturally be enormous expectations. Whenever you're the first overall pick in Toronto, the spotlight is impossible to avoid. Austin Matthews experienced it. Every elite prospect experiences it. But internally, the organization appears determined to develop McKenna the right way instead of rushing him simply because of the market. His talent isn't in question. The challenge is making sure the environment around him allows him to reach his full potential. Now, here's where everything starts connecting. When I look at the rumors surrounding Toronto's blue line, I don't just see a team trying to acquire another defenseman. I see an organization asking a much bigger question: what should the defense look like when Gavin McKenna reaches his prime? That's why names like Zach Werenski continue appearing in league discussions. To be clear, nothing has been confirmed, and there's no verified report saying a deal is close. But multiple reports have linked Toronto to interest in exploring elite, proven defensemen as part of its roster transformation. Whether those conversations ultimately lead to Werenski or another player is almost secondary. The important takeaway is that the Maple Leafs are clearly exploring exploring ways to build a stronger foundation on the blue line. The same applies to Morgan Riley. I've seen plenty of fans immediately assume that any mention of Riley in trade speculation means the organization wants to move on from one of its longest-serving leaders. I don't think it's that simple. Here's what I'm hearing. The Maple Leafs aren't looking at this emotionally. They're evaluating every major contract on the roster